Hi everyone. What I want to do is talk to you today about obsolete. First off, I'm going to do is read the definition of obsolete. Obsolete as an adjective, no longer in general use, fallen into disuse, an obsolete expression uh, of a discarded or outmoded type, out of date, an obsolete battleship. Of linguistic form, no longer in use, especially out of use for at least the past century. Compare archaic. Effaced by wearing down or away. Biology, imperfectly developed or rudimentary in comparison with corresponding character in other individuals, as of the opposite sex or a related species. Used as a verb, to make obsolete by replacing with something newer or better, antiquated. Automation has obsoleted many factory workers. Okay. I use a South Bend tool room lathe on a regular basis. It was made in 1950. The design goes back to, I believe, 1903 or 1906. In many cases, that type of lathe has been declared obsolete. It's not. I use them and they work great. Um, Obsolete tools. The chainsaw has made the bow saw obsolete, except when you don't have gas for your chainsaw, or oil for your chainsaw, or the chainsaw doesn't work. Then the bow saw will. It'll work every time. Is it obsolete or not? The term obsolete, they use that term a lot. I've read it a lot. Like, in as a gunsmith, you hear about obsolete rifle calibers. The 303 is an obsolete rifle caliber. It was made obsolete by the British Army. But the Canadian Army still has it in service, because up north, the 303s, they're still using 303s up in the north, because the C7s slash M16s have malfunction problems in minus 25, 30, minus 40. Um, Many of you people out there own a 30-06. Well, that's an obsolete caliber according to the U.S. military. They don't use it anymore. They use the 7.62 or the 308, NATO, or they use the 5.56, 223. It's not in general use, but does that make that 30-06 any less of um, a caliber? Of course not. It's a great caliber. Same way with the 303. Great for hunting, whatever purpose you want for it. Obsolete tools. Is the hammer obsolete? The claw hammer obsolete? Carpenter's hammer obsolete now that they have those guns. Now, of course, you can do your framing a lot quicker with one of those guns, but if you don't have one of those guns and you're only doing a small job, the hammer's not obsolete. There's so many things they declare obsolete or old-fashioned, or and you know, it really does. That term really bothers me when I hear it. You know, I was watching a video on the Israeli um, armor forces, and what I noticed was they were using Sherman tanks today. They're still using Shermans. Now, the U.S. military and the Canadian military haven't used M43 Shermans since the 1950s. Last time I seen a Sherman tank was on the range and we were firing holes into it. That was back in the 70s. They took the old Shermans and put them out at different distances, and you got to shoot at them, right? The Israelis, they take the hull and they rework it and put a new gun on it, and all of a sudden that obsolete tank is no longer obsolete, right? I mean, uh, it's, it's just one of those aggravating terms for me. Obsolete is just aggravating. That term is, that's obsolete. Well, you know what? It's not obsolete, right? If that was the case, then, you know, well, even buggy whips are not obsolete because there's people out there that have buggies, and buggies are not obsolete, right? I think the buggy whip business is going to get really big at some point in the near future. Same way with the buggy business. But, is blacksmithing an obsolete trade? Not many horses around to shoot. But every blacksmith that I know is busy. Right? I mean, really busy. So there must be some kind of thing to do with obsolete. Obsolete is one of those things where, you hear people say we're going to get rid of these obsolete airplanes and get rid of these obsolete this, and we're going to get rid of these obsolete that for the latest thing that goes big. My mother bought a microwave, I think it was in 1973 or 74 or whatever, from Sears. It cost $1,600. And it worked for over 20 years. Since that time, I've gone through about 4 microwaves. The technology that went into that early microwave, which is obsolete technology, which is not. I mean, if they were still producing them, well, they wouldn't produce them because, guess what? They, they want to build in the obsolescence so that you have to buy a microwave every 4 years or 5 years, right? But it's all things like that. The simplicity of my AMC Concorde I had years ago. You could do a tune-up on it. Anybody could do a tune-up on it. It was simple, right? Blew the engine, we hauled the engine out, put a new engine in. It's no big deal. It was not complex. Today, I look at those engines and I go, what the hell is that? Right? Oh yeah, but that old Concorde, that was obsolete. Right? Yeah, and yeah, I kind of like the the feature of the fuel injection. You don't have to warm the car up and all that kind of stuff. That's pretty good versus the old carburetor engines. But you know what? Those old carburetor engines work really well, and they worked for many years. And but they're obsolete now, right? And we got to have all that computer crap in it. And oh yeah, when one of those sensors shut your car down, oh yeah, that's a joy, right? And you got to take it in. They charge you $75 or $100 to put it on the computer, and then they'll tell you, well, we'll get the part for you, but we can't guarantee it. And if it's not that part, they won't take it back. What a racket that all is. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about obsolete, how I feel about obsolete. I think the word obsolete is obsolete. Nothing is obsolete. Everything can be used at, for one thing or another, right? I mean, like I said, I'm using a lathe that was designed in, I think it's 1906, but it could be 1903, and the thing is now 62 years old, right? And I wouldn't part with that for the world. It's the pride and best $1,100 I ever spent, right? I mean, I bought it in I think I bought it in 88. And obsolete? Oh yeah. Well, you know what? I've chambered a lot of barrels with that. I've done a lot of precision work with it. And it's a pretty darn good thing. So anyway, let me know how you guys feel about obsolete. Till the next time.